this APCD board meeting to order, and we'll start with the roll call, please.
Board Member Long? Here. Board Member Bennett?
Here.
Board Member Foy? Here. Board Member Morgan? Board Member Parks? Here. Board Member Ramirez? Here. Board Member Sharkey? Board Member Washburn? Here. And Board Member Zaragoza?
Here. And Board Member Brennan is present also. Thank you. All right. Then we all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, the next item on our agenda is the nomination and election of the chair and the vice chair. Our vice chair presently is board member and Supervisor Long. I'm hoping you would consider ascending the throne.
Move that Supervisor Long become chair. Second.
Okay, thank you. And we'll just, nominations closed, we'll make it a unanimous decision. And traditionally, we run with both a county representative and a city representative. So I would, at this point, entertain nominations.
I'd like to nominate Carmen Ramirez, representing the cities.
Second by Supervisor Zaragoza, okay. All right. Any further? No?
Is that okay with you?
Great. All right. Well, thank you. I see we have any objections? None? Great. Thank you. And welcome aboard.
Thank you.
So I will be happy to pass over the gavel.
Okay, and thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to sit here, if that's okay. And thank you, Brian, for your leadership on the board this last year. It's been a fast and furious year, and great job, and appreciate it. Look forward to this next year and serving with Carmen. Skirts rule, Carmen. All right, so thank you all. Look forward to working with all of you. We'll move ahead now on our agenda to our minutes of our November 8th meeting, which was the last time we were together last year. We've had a chance to review them. A motion? Is there a motion?
I'll move motion. Second?
Motion and a second to accept the minutes. Any objection to that?
Can I abstain?
There's one abstention. No objections? So ordered. All right, agenda review. Anything on the agenda you wish to reorder? Okay, then we'll, by majority vote, with no objections, we will accept the agenda as presented. I see some nods. All right, board comments. Board comments by any of the board members?
Thank you, Brian, for a great job.
That's right. It seems like I should have a gavel to pass to you, but next time. Okay, all right. No board comments then? All right, we'll move ahead on to our regular agenda, and that is item 8, and it's to appoint two Ventura County, two members to the control district members to the district standing committee, and the air pollution control to the South Coast Basin. Mr. Villegas, if you'd come to the dais there, if there's any questions on this, I'd like to say that I did hear from Councilmember Morgan, and he would be very willing to continue to serve on the South Central Coast Basin-wide, correct?
He was willing to serve on the standing committee,
And the standing committee?
and that he said if no one was interested in the South Central Coast Basin-wide Control Council, he would be willing to serve.
Okay. And tell me who we have on the standing committee then, between the chair and the vice chair?
You have the chair and the vice chair, and then you would add one additional county representative and one additional city representative.
Okay, okay. So unless there's objection, I'm certainly open to having Mr. Morgan serve if he wishes to on the standing committee. Who else from the board members looking down the aisle? Here, look at Peter.
Someone maybe who hasn't done it before.
Who hasn't done it in a while?
I've been there before a couple of times.
Yeah. Okay. Peter.
Killing me.
Oh, but you want to. We got some busy people down here, you know?
I'm feeling left out.
All right, I'd nominate Supervisor Foy and Councilmember Morgan to serve on both the Standing Committee and Mr. Morgan to serve on the South Coast Basin Committee. That's my motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any objection to that? Hearing none, so ordered. Does that cover it, Mike?
Yes, it does.
All right. Approval of the rulemaking calendar, item 9.
This is the district's annual rule development calendar, and pursuant to Health and Safety Code, the district is required to publish a list of regulatory measures that are scheduled or tentatively scheduled before your board in the upcoming year, and this list must be published each January. We've created a rule development calendar to comply with this requirement. It includes rulemaking activities: 1, to implement all feasible control measures under California's Clean Air Act, to make rule improvements to existing rules, and rule revisions mandated by either state or federal requirements. The rule development calendar is not required to include mandated actions. However, we've tried to make it as comprehensive as possible for the regulated community's benefit. I want to assure you, as we work through this rule development calendar, we will be going through our rule process to make sure that we minimize socioeconomic impacts, and that includes public consultation meetings, public workshops, our advisory committee, and then coming before your board. Our goal is always, at a minimum, to have a rule that at least the regulated community can live with, and in many cases have it supported. Therefore, staff recommends that you approve the attached rulemaking calendar for 2012.
Other questions on the rulemaking calendar? Components of it. There's a motion and a second to adopt the calendar. Any objection to that motion? Hearing, seeing none, so ordered. Thank you. And then we move to item, I'm not moving fast enough here. This is where my paper document really does help. Item 10, thank you. I got lost in the moving the pages here. Item 10 is a proposed grant funding for lower emission school bus program and for the Ventura Unified School District. Mr. Change, thank you.
Yeah. Chair Long, members of the board, Stan Cowan, our quality engineer. The school bus grant program is designed to reduce the impact of particulate diesel emissions on students, and it's kind of to help their health. This is probably one of the last grants that we do in this program. The bond fund that we originally had was over $5 million, and this particular proposal will spend the remainder of that grant. So we've actually completed our goal. The retrofits which we're doing today will control about 85% of the emissions coming from a diesel school bus. We are following the state guidelines, the lower emission standard guidelines, which encourages the use of retrofits versus replacements because they're much more cost effective. You can do 7 or 8 retrofits for the cost of 1 school bus replacement. And their goal that they set for us was 25% of the funding should be spent on retrofits, and we accomplished over 30% of the funding for retrofits. So we exceeded the goal set by the state for that particular thing. This particular project is for Ventura Unified School District for 2 school bus retrofits at a cost of up to $33,264 for both retrofits combined. We will use the remainder of the bond funds at $10,247. The remainder will come from DMV fees, AB 923, the $2 fee. Effective January 1st of this year, new legislation was adopted that gives us the authority to use those fees for this particular project for retrofits. We will have a standard grant agreement with Ventura Unified to implement the project. And as far as emission reductions, since 2005, we've done 134 retrofits for school buses and emission reductions of over 5 tons of PM since, through the year 2020. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Question, Carmen?
Just a comment in terms of this has got to be one of the best programs that we've done here, and I'm sorry to see the funds go away, but getting up to 80% of the school buses retrofitted is an excellent goal for us, and I'm really glad we were able to do that. I'd like to get the other 20%, and And I don't know if that's something that we'll be able to do with future funds.
Yeah, it's possible.
I have a question. Thank you for your
Sure.
report. Because I'm relatively new to this, comes as a great information. And I would like to see if there's a report available on how we spent all of the funding in the last period of time, so that I could share it with my constituents, my colleagues, and the public.
Yeah, we
So I think
prepare-
it's a wonderful program.
We prepare a report for the State Eversources Board,
Okay.
and we could give you a copy of that report.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that'd be of interest to all of us to see the success of the program. I think we have a public policy question before us and the school boards in the future. It looks like because of cuts that they may get out of the transportation business. So then what happens to all those wonderful buses we've now retrofitted? I'm sure that the dollars didn't require that they continue providing transportation service, just required that if you're running a bus, you use it and it's clean air, which
Yeah.
it's achieved the goal. But
Right.
there's going to be that question, that challenge for us all.
Perhaps they could go into the jitney business, and we could have more transportation and sell them out to individual contractors to do some different things. Some
Well,
opportu- So look,
we'll have to
that
get
does have,
creative.
and welcome that opportunity.
Well.
Yeah.
Anything else on the item?
I have a question, Madam
Yes.
Chair. Is that the average cost for a retrofit on a vehicle of that size?
Yes, it's about $17,000 for the installed cost.
Okay. I get asked that question a lot when we talk in the community about air quality and the new laws and retrofitting. And some people say, oh, it's too expensive to retrofit anything. So it's good to know what that actual cost or
Versus
the range.
$150,000 for a new
Highway
school
is.
bus,
Right.
so it's a lot less expensive.
Okay, thank you.
Any others? You've done a great job managing this program. Thank you. Appreciate it. Motion?
So moved.
Motion is second to adopt the recommended action. Any objection to that? Hearing none, so ordered. All right, thank you again, Stan. And now we're up to item 11, which is staff comments on the drafts of City of Oxnard's resolution regarding climate change and the Federal Clean Air Act. It's a receive and file action. Please provide the information.
Yes, in November of last year, I was contacted by Oxnard City staff to review a possible resolution regarding support for using the Federal Clean Air Act to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and also to generally support the Federal Clean Air Act as a clean air tool. They're actually scheduled to begin discussion of this item this evening, and I will be attending in case there are questions. As a starting point, a local Oxnard environmental advocate provided the city with a resolution that had been adopted by the city of Santa Monica. What we did is we provided suggestions, making sure that the preamble of that resolution only cited what we believe is basically climate change science that has well been reviewed. And really what we're looking for is findings from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, NASA, or the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So we're looking for well-defined climate science that has well been peer-reviewed, and we limited that. Further, the City of Santa Monica resolution actually requested the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency to greatly expand the use of the Federal Clean Air Act to reduce greenhouse gases. And while this is a quite noble goal, it was something that we had been aware of at the California Air Pollution Control Officers Association. And this very large expansion of use of the Federal Clean Air Act was not supported by any of the air districts within California. And that was something I double-checked on with this resolution. And what we've done is we've kind of massaged that language to make sure that the resolution is basically specific to climate change programs that either your board has adopted or supported in the past. So that brings it to supporting EPA's tailoring rule for permitting the large greenhouse gas sources, prevention of significant deterioration program, once again, for permitting large sources, and clean vehicle standards, which your board has supported in the past. I'm very pleased that the City of Oxnard staff contacted APCD on this issue because it did allow for a coordinated response within the county. And that's all I have. I'll be happy to take questions.
I do have a question. So, Mr. Villegas, what we have here in the agenda is the changes that you reviewed, or is this, I'm not,
This is, the resolution that's attached to this board letter is APCD staff's suggestion. And I saw an initial draft of the Oxnard one, and they had basically reordered a few things, added a couple things. We had some minor comments, they incorporated those. I've not seen the final draft yet, but our understanding is that they've incorporated all our comments, so we believe it's a good resolution.
thank you.
Any other questions on this item? It is a receive and file, but appreciate that you brought this to us, and that the city did proactively ask for input. That's valuable. Any receive and file, motion?
Second.
Motion and a second to receive and file. Any objection to that? Hearing none, so ordered. Thank you again, and looks like you have a long day. You're going there tonight.
Yeah, from what I hear, it could be a late night.
Oh, not because of this, though.
Not because of this.
Well, then move him up when he gets there.
We'll try, yeah, definitely.
All right. Item 12 is approval to establish 2 classifications, APCD permit processing specialist 1 and 2. Upon approval, delete 1 vacant position classified as air quality specialist 2 and add 1, and all of that, the above. Mr. Villegas.
What we've currently got going on is we've got a air quality specialist in our engineering division who's requested a lateral transfer into our compliance division. He's always wanted to become an inspector, and we've got a vacancy in that, and we're going to make that transfer. Now, in order when we go out and recruit to refill the position in the engineering division, we looked at that position, and it's a very unique position to the district and also extremely key. To put it in perspective, this position handles the invoices for all the renewal permit fees, and that's nearly 1/3 of the district's revenue. And it also has to be a person that's willing to work on software development projects. And it's a unique classification, and then it's basically in a very broad classification currently under the air quality specialist, and it's quite different from any of the air quality specialist positions that we have within the district. So what we're proposing to do in order to have an effective recruitment is to set up a new classification called APCD Permit Processing Specialist, and it would be a 1-2 position, but only 1 allocation. The other thing is that there would be no changes to the salaries or benefits, so there would be no net cost or savings to the district on this. The other benefit we have is if there was a reduction in force in the future, God forbid, because I think we're about at the right size right now. This gives management an additional option. We wouldn't have to, since that would be the newest person in the district for some time, we wouldn't automatically have to lay that position off due to seniority because it would be in a separate classification. And it's an extremely key position to the district. If we get someone in there that's working quite well, we may want to retain them in the future. And based on that, I'm urging your board to adopt the recommended actions.
Okay, questions? Second. Motion and a second to adopt the action. Any objection to the motion? I see 7 affirmatives. So, thank you. And then our next item is to look at a change in our calendar for the advanced year, which is to cancel the February and March meetings. And you're still standing with that, or do you have, raising your hand?
The reason I'm still at the podium is we won't be having a March meeting, and that's partially because I understand the Board of Supervisors are going to be meeting in Camarillo
That's correct.
that day. But we do need, March is the month where the Standing Committee reviews the district's draft budget for the upcoming fiscal year. So we will need during that week, and I'll work with the 4 members of the Standing Committee to schedule a time during that week that we can actually sit down and review the Standing Committee.
Okay, we'll work that. But, so the motion is to cancel the February meeting and the March meeting of this board, of regular board.
I will move the item.
Motion and a second. Any objections? Hearing none. Thank you, that works, so ordered.
And I have one real quick comment. Last night I
Sure.
was at the Oxnard Harbor District meeting, and they actually their board unanimously approved moving forward with the Prop 1B funds for the shore power project, so.
Oh, great.
Very,
Great, look forward to hearing on
it's a
that.
great project,
on that.
it's, has great environmental benefit, it will be quite challenging, but I wanted to give
Okay.
you good news.
All right, very good. We appreciate your work. I know there's always work that's behind the scenes, even though our meetings may be short, and appreciate that you'll get that report out to us on the bus, success of the bus grant program, retrofit program, and notify Mr. Morgan of his appointments, and we'll schedule that standing committee. And that completes our agenda for today.
Thank you.
That does. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
You know how you get it, so many people come to